Mergers suck, but I also need them. In politics and war, there are hundreds of player-owned teams called alliances which compete economically and militarily to rule the world. However, only 30 alliances have been considered important. The top 10 run the game, the top 30 compete in that game, and the top 50 want to play that game. That is how most players understand politics and war, and historically, most players were outside of the top 10. Climbing the ranks is what most of Politics and War's content has been about. A lot of my content has been focused on how to climb the ranks or understand the other alliances trying to do it. So when the City 20 update dropped last year, I was thrilled. It helped so many new alliances get into the top 30. And then the whole lower tier died. An entire community, culture, and style of gameplay ended overnight. If you're a newer player, you'll probably say there are still lots of new alliances. To that I say, there are some, but they are not of the same quality. The micros we have now are nanos in terms of skill, experience, capability, and relative power. So I'm thrilled the City 20 update helped small alliances catch up, but I'm saddened by its overall consequences. Unfortunately, I was not wrong once, but twice, and that's where mergers come in. I have advocated for small alliances merging to be able to compete with the larger ones. Anyone who's seen the stats and can do basic math knows that new alliances will never be in the top 10 or 20 without merging. However, it was always optional, and even if they weren't a real competitor, they might still have an impact on the game. Small alliances can be awesome side characters, and I've tried to highlight them in videos whenever it's possible. But recently there have been a series of super mergers which have destroyed my faith in that dynamic. It started with Eclipse and Terminus Jest. They merged to create an alliance to rival Rose and the Syndicate. Most people were fine with this because it made the game more interesting. Now there were 4 top alliances, including TKR, competing for the throne. Then Cataclysm and Paradise merged to form Singularity. Both alliances had former leaders of top 5 alliances, and TKR was less important now, so nothing really changed, and we still had 4 competitors. Then 2 talented alliances in the top 30 merged. This was different. Serene Way and Skull and Bones created Cypher. A few months go by and Cypher disbands, and the members join other top 10 alliances. It was random and chaotic, and like most people I said, it's probably nothing to worry about. Then another top 30 alliance called Bourbon Street merged into TKR. Now we have 5 top alliances. Well, never mind, it's 6, because TI had a year of peace and got members from Cypher. The big news this week was Aurora and Carthago merging. These alliances were both in the top 15, and we hadn't seen anything like that in a long time. So I kind of dismissed it like everyone else. Yeah, they're at 1 million score, but there are 6 other alliances like that. They are just doing what it takes to win. I was completely wrong. They're not trying to win, they're trying to survive. After looking at the numbers, it is very hard to argue this was not necessary. These alliances hated each other less than a year ago. They have radically different cultures, and their gov is split down the middle and will be divided on lots of issues. They would not have done this unless they saw the writing on the wall. So, what does the writing say? Well, all the nations above City 40 are controlled by 2 alliances, or 3 spheres if we're being generous and we combine Rose, Arkham, Guardian, and Yar, which, for all manner of reasons, is incorrect. 60% of all the nations above City 30 are in 8 alliances, and the top 5 make between 5 and 10 times the revenue of the top 30. I've studied the game's history, and this isn't a new development. A handful of alliances are always way more powerful. They are great powers, and the other alliances revolve around them. However, the game is older now and the gap is bigger. In the past, people believed new alliances might pop up or that a surge of new players would change things from time to time. Well, recruitment has slowed down, and most new players are joining the top 10, so that's not very likely. If anything, we might see most of the player base reside in the top 10 alliances for the first time in a decade. Let's get back to this merger though. Why am I so doom and gloom about Aurora and Carthago merging? Well, I think through their actions they have said loudly and persuasively that the mid-tier is dead. Everything below rank 30 was killed by the City 20 update, and now everything below rank 10 was killed by mergers. The top 30 alliances are now micros in terms of relative power. In the past, protectorates were 5 times stronger than their protectorates. Now the top 8 alliances are 3 times stronger than the alliances in the top 20, and 5 times stronger than the people in the top 30 if we use score alone. If we factor in economic power, tiering, and activity, they are 10 or 20 times stronger. The top 30 have been rendered micros in a single year. The trend started earlier, but it's ramped up this year. I've seen very little discussion about it too. A lot of old alliances are just in denial. A lot of new alliances don't realize it's happened, and alliances like UPN and BK have limited options. They are old names and they don't want to merge and lose their identities. Most of the alliances that were going to merge have merged, and the ones that are going to will do it in the next 8 months. There's another interesting aspect of this. The type of merger will matter a lot. The top alliances used to poach and merge people by claiming that they were being charitable. Spending money on small nations is a waste and we're really doing you a favor. The people that said that were disingenuous, but through cosmic irony, they have become honest men. If you're merging a new alliance full of City 10s, you are wasting money. The top 15 are the only alliances that have economic incentive to grow them now. If you're below that, you need to boost your current members to City 25 or beyond and get projects, infra, and all the other things which put you in the position to help others. 10 or 15 nations that can get to City 30 in a year are so much more successful than a 100-person alliance at 15. The smaller alliance will probably make more money, they'll have more impact in wars, and all of them will be more active and engaged. Oh, and another perk is they will be able to pay for their own rebuild. The 100-person alliance always struggles with rebuild because there are nations that are just a drain on resources and will ask for it. This will be a polarizing video. I am well known for advocating for the lower tier and helping people create alliances and encouraging people to create more. If I'm wrong, then I'll make another video with the people that have corrected me. I don't want to be doom and gloom, but it seems like it's just a fact at this point. In a twist of fate, I'm going to appeal to the top 8 on behalf of the new lower tier, the alliances below rank 20. The top 8 need to start giving them protectorates and letting them sit out wars. These are micros, and they need to be allowed to catch up if you want the game to be interesting. If only 8 alliances matter, then none of you will talk in public, there will be no heists, leaks, or crazy stuff. There will be no interesting stories if every event I cover is in the shadow of giants and gets ended by their accidental participation. Also, I'd like to reaffirm, I don't blame any of these alliances for merging and causing this. They felt compelled to do it by the strong natural growth or the mergers of their rivals. And even though I don't like the consequences of it, the top 50 need to set aside legacy, ego, and stubbornness to merge and compete. Alliances are not merely names or individuals. Alliances should be characters that evolve and change over time. I'm sure that when people created UPN, BK, GPA, and WTF, they wanted them to be more than an old name that's going to be forgotten. Now is the time to preserve your ideals and the character of your alliance by updating it. And if you feel like I'm excluding Camelot and the top 15 from this prescription, you're wrong. We are not faced with this issue as immediately as the rest of the top 30 for a few reasons, primarily because we're slightly larger. But we will face the same issue. We're a big micro right now, and soon we'll be a small one just like most of you. Oh, and a final prediction to cap off the video, 2 of the 1 million score alliances will merge in the next year or 2. The consolidation will continue to ramp up, and if there are 10 to 15 alliances at 1 million score by the end of this year, at least 2 of them will want to merge and be number 1. Event Horizon, the newest merger, is already saying that it's not competitive at City 40, and natural growth is unlikely to help them accomplish their tiering goals. They're not finished. None of them are. Some of them haven't even started. And so as you can probably tell from the trend of this video, I am rather a doomer, as my friends would say. And I kind of don't know what to do about it. I'm rather hoping I'm entirely wrong. I don't know how I am, but I really do hope I am.